Nikita Koloff, a Russian nightmare. And you're watching the #1 show on Long Island with Monte and the Pharaoh.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, seen only here at Indie Music TV. At the helm is super producer Matt. How are you, my friend?
Chugging along, just great.
Thank you for the great interview with Ken Patera.
Yeah, that was great.
And to the right is none other than the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh. Jimmy, how are you, buddy?
Feeling nasty. Back again for another round.
Look at you.
Yeah.
How'd you like that Patera interview, buddy?
I loved it. It was great seeing somebody that goes back to the very early beginnings of my fandom. That was fantastic.
So this is kind of like the beginning of your fandom and now the middle of your fandom?
Yeah, probably. Yeah,
Right?
considering it's a 40-year history of me watching this, 45 plus or so.
If anyone doesn't know, in studio we have future Hall of Famers, the Nasty Boys, on the couch, along with pro wrestling superstar Mr. Andrew Anderson, who will pop in shortly also. But before we introduce the stars of the show, the Nasty Boys, I want to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte The Pharaoh, Wisteria Hall, led by our own Jimmy Pharaoh, along with his partner Bart Griggs. They sing songs such as Not Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain, and you can find their music on Spotify, iTunes, and Reverb Nation. Sorry, I got a frog in my vote. So whatever. You can catch Monte The Pharaoh on the Monte The Pharaoh YouTube page, the Facebook Monte The Pharaoh page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV, RTF Sports Network twice. That's on Monday and Friday. Channel 115 on New York cable television. That's from 7 to 7:30. And then on Saturdays from 6 a.m. to 6:30. That's Channel 115. And then catch on the Pharaoh time Friday on Channel 20 at 1:30 in the morning. Those for the late night partiers.
That's right.
We'll be right back after the sponsors with the Nasty Boys. You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544. And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here at Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. What an honor. I want to thank, here are future Hall of Famers, one of the greatest tag teams to ever step in a pro wrestling ring,
Damn straight.
the Nasty Boys. Thank you, guys. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, thanks for having us, Monte and the Pharaoh, brother.
So wait, we're in Longcock, Longcock in
Not
New York?
Long Cock. Ronkonkoma, New York. So a lot of the
like
Long
Ronkonkoma.
Island
I like
cities...
Longcock, I'm better.
Yeah, well, me too, but
I would like that, but when you're big and you only have a 2-incher.
Hey, you're not the only one, bro. Don't worry about it. We're on the same boat.
Speak for yourselves. Oh my God.
That's all Indian names, right?
It's all Indian.
all
We're,
Indian
we're
names.
from in Pennsylvania. I was born in Hockendaka. Across the river was Catasauqua.
Yeah.
They're all Indian names.
There's nothing
back
like
in
living in places that you can't even
the, pronounce.
pronounce. Yeah.
But they
I
mean,
can't even pronounce.
they mean something in the Indian language. The chief had long kaka, and they just made it a thing. He was, he was
Long
tapping
kaka.
all the.
Was he part of the Fakawi tribe? You know where the Fakawi?
What the fuck out?
There
Yeah,
we go.
he was
There
in
we
there with
go.
the-
Oh, boy.
Nothing like that Laurel and Hardy slapstick humor or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
We've been
Chief Small Pencil.
Yo,
Anyway.
speaking of growing up in Pennsylvania, this is probably the most amazing thing about you guys. How the fuck are you guys still friends after all these years?
You guys
it
are
makes, it
child-
makes
Well,
no
we
sense.
formed our own tribe, the Chickasaw Suckadick Indian Nation. We was formed, and then we were our own.
No, but we've been friends since then. Played Little League Little League baseball, and we became friends. And he had this tooth. He only had a half a tooth, right? And I go, what happened? And he said, my brother shot it out with a BB gun. And I went, oh man, I think I'm gonna be friends with you, And then since we're 10, we've been best of friends and went through high school. I didn't go through middle school with him because I went to a Catholic school, And
You went to Catholic school.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I'm picturing this.
I don't know. I guess the priest didn't find me attractive because nothing ever happened to me. I swear.
Maybe you heard about the two-incher.
I was an
Pat
altar
Patterson
boy.
did though, right?
I did get the magic wand, which was you bend over and he whaps you with this paddle.
Oh my
You
God.
thought it was a paddle.
Yeah.
Little did
Who
you
knows
know.
what was happening?
The Father, the Son, and the Holy Slap. Hey, oh
Before we
boy.
got there, I'd sneak in and get some of the wine that we were going to use for that. No, I'm only kidding.
How'd you guys come up with the idea to be pro wrestlers?
We didn't.
You didn't.
No, it just came to us. We
Okay.
had no fucking choice.
Well, he got the kind of he had a scholarship to go play college ball. He had to get his grades up. He went to a junior college, and while he was there, he hit the hall monitor overhead with a keg of beer. So that I don't know why. Or
While he was
how.
getting his grades up, he hit the hall monitor with a keg
Yeah,
of beer.
well, during where they were at their fraternity there or dorm, and then I was in the Army, and was in for about 2-3 years, and then they had a weight thing, and I was 210 pounds, and I had to be 208. So I come home, and he's already getting shit canned out of the college thing, and he goes, "Do you like it in there?" I said, "Well, not really anymore. My two buddies that were in already had left. They're the ones that got me in, Lorenzo and Hoots." And all of a sudden, he goes, "Well," I said, "Well, they got me on this weight thing. If I don't lose the weight, they said they're, honorable discharge." But at the time, they were really thinking on the weight. So we proceeded to eat 30, 40 cheeseburgers a piece of McDonald's. I was home for a 30-day leave. I came back at like 250, and they freaked out, and they said, "Drizovich, you got a month to lose it. You're out of here." And I said, "Okay, whatever." And I couldn't lose that much in that amount of time. Got an honorable discharge and everything. But the real crazy thing was, this is the 80s now, 1981, 82. Go from there, 2009 or 2010, Jimmy Hart asked me, and it was me, Greg the Hammer, Jimmy, and Jimmy got the thing set up, and two divas, SoCal Val and Brooks. Kelly Brooks? She was in TNA.
Okay.
But anyway, we all went over, and we were there for 31 days in Iraq, and we were gone from in the morning. We'd leave, spend 4 hours at each base, and it was a great thing to see, and the soldiers were so happy, and for me to give back, and I was already in there, but to see how our soldiers were treated over there, and they're playing the Kardashians over here, and not even showing what our troops were going through. It was an eye-opening experience.
So
But
you
the
got to
thing
come full
was,
circle, kind of. You got to go from being in the Army to wrestling in front of the Army.
But my good old friend Jimmy Hart kind of slid one by me because he knows I like beer. He goes, "Don't worry, Knobs. They have beer on the base. it's a Muslim country. There ain't no alcohol there. But then I found out, they got it. Some of the Army guys knew the deals and that, but it was a real good experience to go back there, and we had a great time.
Okay, tell them why you're telling the story. You met your sergeant there. That's why you started it. Can you get to the point? You're just rambling on here.
So anyway,
what the fuck is he doing?
Definitely a tag team.
I walk in though, but we're in the chow hall in Mosul, Iraq, and the black guy, and I said, hey, he reminded me of LT, and I'm going, you remind me of Lawrence Taylor, So then we sat with the troops, and he was there as a civilian. So he came over, he says, hey, come sit with mine, and he started this wrap up, and I said, your last name ain't Barry, is it? He goes, how do you know that? I said, Sergeant Barry, it was my battery commander from Fort Hood, Texas. Yes. And I didn't see him. 26 years later, I see him in Mosul, Iraq. So that night when we're signing for all the troops, he stood right next to me, and he was like a drill sergeant. This is my soldier. I trained him. He became a pro wrestler. He was so happy and everything like that. Gave me his number, and still in touch with him today yet, Sergeant Barry. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know.
Sags, I wanted to ask you, Sags, how do you guys keep a relationship so strong after all this time?
You mean me and Knobs?
What? Yeah, Knobs.
What relationship?
Well, I want to ask you though. How do you guys keep so tight?
You and Knobs.
Well, it's part of being growing up together and tag team together. It's like a ongoing thing with your friends for life. Our grandfathers partied together, worked at cement mills together. They drove Harleys together back in the 30s and 40s when all that kind of stuff.
But your parents didn't pair you guys up. You just met in the playground?
No, I actually was tried out for baseball down in my neighborhood, and they cut me, and I came home. I was pissed off, and because my old man would tell me, take your fucking glove and your thing, you go up and prove yourself up there. You know what I mean? All the other kids had their dads out there up the coach's ass and all that stuff, So which kid gets cut? Oh, get out of here. I was pissed.
Okay.
So the next thing, one of our neighbors, they need Styles up there. It was hockey and Styles. They need kids on the team. I go on this team, and who do I meet but him? And then a bunch of other friends are lifelong friends too. So I'm on this baseball team, and he takes me home. He takes me home to his house, an old farmhouse up in in Stiles, Pennsylvania, which is we grew up in Whitehall, outside Allentown. We're close to here. Got a couple out, due west, but go home and hey, his Grammy's cooking something in the kitchen, and he goes, hey, Grammy, this is Sagsy. And she, a weird look at me. She goes, Sags? Saganovich? Because we're Polish. Mm-hmm. And she goes, are you Stevie Saganovich's grandson? I went, yeah. And a big smile came up on her face.
Okay.
And here we met, but she was good friends with my grandfather. He's Jan Drizovich, I'm Saganovich. And it reminded me that his grandpa was crazy like him. He hit a pole doing like 60, 70 with the Harley, the old K models,
Yeah.
And then he was loaded up and hauling ass. And that's how he died young. And his Grammy had to raise the family.
Yeah.
He was fucking crazy like we are.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like almost certain things are meant to be.
Just meant to be.
You know what I'm saying? It's like somebody put us
it.
together there, at that point in life.
Oh yeah.
And then the rest was history, And we, there's 3 or fuck offs in high school and fighting, and then we get both kicked. I get kicked out of college. He gets kicked out of the army. Now we're fighting again, and beers and boozing and fucking up, and they're like, you guys need, a bunch of our friends, local cops. Matt Millen, our good buddy, played for the Raiders, and listen, everybody, you guys got to get the fuck out of here. Why don't you do that? You're fighting all the time anyway. Go into that wrestling or something. That's when we started chasing down, for some reason, the guy that we were going to look for information about wrestling.
Okay.
Is a guy eating turnbuckles and going, with George Steele.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my God.
So I lived 2 miles from Mag Hall.
Okay.
Where they taped WWF, the old Vince McMahon Sr. taped television. Well, George Steele, Gorilla Monsoon, Andre, Ringer's Roost, the bar across the street. All the guys would sit there and drink, then go over and shoot TV. That's where, the thing was there. That's where Snuka hit. Piper hit Snook with the coconut.
Yeah,
was at Hamburg.
Yeah.
There you go.
They'd shoot in Allentown and Hamburg.
Right.
And then about a mile and a half from my house, the George Washington Motor Lodge.
Yeah.
That's the GW, where it's where all the guys would stay that coming into town right on Route 22, 78, that shoots over to New York. And this was the territory, Right. So, we wake at first. My mind as a kid waking up on Saturday mornings, and you see Roddy on there, and he's doing his shtick. Piper draw your face right to the fucking tube, and you're like, what's this shit,
Right.
But they're like, so we started following around, chasing George around, driving him crazy, fucking knocking on his door. That thing if I count the times, George chased us, coming with the green tongue. He still have it from the show.
Yeah.
The tongue was green. And you go into his gimmick, and me and Knobsy running down the aisles of George Washington. He chases us down the fucking block. I'm tired of you two.
What made you guys select George Steele?
I don't know. We just we go. That guy's George.
You picked the craziest guy.
Right.
But
At least on camera.
But our good friend was manager of the place of the Quality Inn across the street where George was staying.
Okay.
He was staying at George Washington, and he became friends with George.
Okay.
And he goes, I got these two guys, but it was Matt Millen, who 4 Super Bowl rings,
Matt
Oakland
Millen.
Raiders, San Francisco, Washington.
But wait a minute.
I mean,
you
he's the one that
want to hear
actually
a better?
told us. He just said, "Let me talk a minute." Jesus, big mouth.
Hide the foreign objects.
Anyway,
well, you're the one that interrupted. He interrupted me.
He looked at us, and told us, "You guys are screwing up, and if you don't straighten up, you're probably gonna be thrown in jail." He said, "One of these days it's gonna catch up to you."
Okay.
He says, "Why don't you guys try that pro wrestling? You like it." And then he's the one that really gave us a thing to say, "Oh, let's go after it." And then that's when we went after George. After Matt called us to his house, so we really respected Matt. He's playing for the pros, and he gave us a real good speech and got us to where we're at.
Is he finished now?
Yeah, go ahead.
You have the floor.
I thought he was, Edgar Allan Poe writing the fucking long, this 300 episode Bible or something. I don't know. But anyway, funnier story. Who we met first was Gorilla Monsoon.
Okay.
So Joe McHugh was the old announcer. Remember Joe McHugh?
Yep.
He was a local
McHugh.
guy, and he knew from athletics or my names and all that kind of stuff. So Joe McHugh goes, "Come down, and I'll introduce you to Gorilla." And so we walk in, me and him. This is maybe 82. And they go, and here Gorilla stands up with a big smile on his face. "So, you guys want to get in the wrestling business?" We go, "Yes, sir, we do. Let me give you a number." He writes down a number and gives it to us. We go, "Thank you so much." And they just call, and we go home. Now we go home, and we're like, "Are you going to call or the number? Well, let's wait till tomorrow to call the number." And we're going back and forth about the number. And who's going to call the number? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but George Steele called me.
No, wait a minute. So we finally go, all right, Knobs gets on the phone and calls the number. It was like, I think the number was 8675302. You know the song.
He gave you Jenny,
the Jenny
Jenny's
song.
number.
8675309.
You might have gotten Tommy Two-Tone.
Yeah, right. But that
God.
was the first rib ever pulled in us. And we waited. We were anxious about calling the fucking number and waited for a couple of days. All right, we're gonna call. And it was a number. It's a fake number.
Wow.
Gorilla was probably back pissing his pants.
But
These fucking two idiots with this number.
But we bugged George Steele so much that he said, "Come meet us at the Quality Inn." And he had Snuka, Paul Orndorff, and Bob Orton Jr. to stretch us.
Oh, Sheik.
And the Sheik at the
when these guys walk in,
and he's working.
jump 'em.
Well, he's
we were going to get our ass
working,
kicked.
and I'm working, and I said, "Sorry, Mr. Steele, but we're both working. We love to make it, this and that." He goes, "Well, if you guys are serious," he said, "you'll go to Vern Gagne's camp. That'll either make you or break you." Up in Minnesota. And at the time, you had to write a resume and everything, and Matt was one of our references, and Brad Brad was teaching the camp, Brad Reagans, who was an Olympic champion.
Right.
He won the bronze medal. He probably would have won the gold in 80, but they boycotted it because he beat the Russian in the World Games in 79. And the ring didn't even get set up for 3 months. We were on Olympic mats getting tossed around like feathers. You know, he threw Leon White after Leon got out playing for the Rams, and Leon was like 380 pounds. He suplexed him right through the shower in the back, and we lived on the bottom of Brad's. So there's no way you can skip camp or everything. We were out there, and for 3 months on the Olympic mats. Then they finally, I'm going, I didn't sign up for this. I'm getting stretched every day. We're getting stretched, and then all of a sudden, every couple of days, Vern would come down, and after Brad had you totally exhausted, our grandmothers could have beat us. Now you got Vern coming in there, putting you in shooter holes, and you're going, you know. And then all of a sudden the ring got set up. We started with 22 people, and me and him were the only ones to survive. And that's because our car broke down, and there was no way to get out of
You
there.
had to stay.
And we were on the bottom of Brad's house, so
Oh,
we had to
my
be
God.
out there, you know. So, but it was good training. It really was. And then from then, when we finally get the thing, we go, you know, go through the school. We didn't jump right in the ring. Hell no. We had to drive the ring first. Then we refereed. I mean, it was another 6 months till we finally got in the ring.
What do you guys feel about nowadays when you read about these guys? And I don't want to label them, but hell, I will. Some of these guys who come across like prima donnas, they don't want to carry someone's bag. They don't want to go get them water or anything. What does that make you guys feel like after telling the stories of the price you guys paid to get into this business?
Well, it's sort of like with everything, and you know, in life, these, you know, whether it's football, baseball, you know, you got the old school and the new school, and you know, I mean, you look at the guys, you know, and you say not only it's not they're a victim of their product, you know, like the NFL. What do those old guys think now? What, they can't use the helmet and the concussions.
You can't even touch the quarterback.
You got to, you know, everything's got to be politically correct and all that kind of stuff. So we grew up in that old school era, where, you know, you didn't hang out with the guys and party and do that, run this route. You weren't in the business. You know what I mean? Different times. So now these young kids, they have to deal with a whole different circumstances. Now look at this coronavirus thing, and then they got the PG rating type thing where they can't no more to the head because of those concussions. Like we used to do the crazy stuff. So they're limited in all these ways, and there's no small territories for the younger guys to learn anymore to experience that kind of crap that we got to experience, you know.
And driving down the road together in the car after the match, talking over the match and that. And another thing is, a lot of the guys come in thinking, boom, I'm going to come in, I want to be the Rock right away. You got to pay your dues in anything to get better, you know what I mean? And it's a good thing that Vince started the WWE Developmental so they could have. They run little shows all over Florida, so they get that. But when we were there, like we wrestled the Tennessee territory, that was 6 days a week, only 1 day off, and sometimes that wasn't off. And then, you know, Monday was always Memphis, Tuesday was always Louisville, and Wednesday was always Evansville, and Wednesday's payoff was always $50. So, you know, but you learned, and you learned from good guys that knew what they were doing, and we had
Do you think it's going to go back to the way it was, considering what's happening now with the third party
Well, I'm glad
arguments?
there's other leagues out there now, like AEW, great. Ring of Honor, great. Impact Wrestling, great. NWA. So there's other places for people to go, and even people that made it, you know, because for a while there, when Vince bought WCW, there was nowhere for nobody else to go. And if you didn't work with him, you know, you didn't get, you know, the pay you were getting, you know, because you got paid. WCW was good. It was very professional. And they were the first ones like that really started the contracts with the money you're getting. And if you get hurt, they still paid you. In Vince, if you didn't wrestle, you didn't get paid. And you signed a no money contract. Back in the day, it was for no money.
For opportunity, right?
But he told us that we would make more than what we got offered, and we did by three times the amount when WCW first offered us a contract. But the match with the Steiners at Halloween Havoc, that's the match that got us to WWE, because Hulk called me and said, Vince McMahon wants to talk to you. And I was going, yeah, you're full of shit. He says, no, seriously. and he asked us to come up, and that was our goal.
So speaking of that, how do you become friends with Hulk Hogan? How does that relationship even
He was
build?
down in Florida, and we used to own a restaurant back in the day with our buddy Matty, and Matty actually owned the restaurant. We just came in as like partners, but
Both of you.
yeah, both of us. But the hook there was
We were wrestling Florida Championship
yeah,
Wrestling.
and we were.
It was
we
still
were-
they remade it into a territory
Right.
again, like from when Dusty was there, Mike Graham and Steve Kern.
we
That's
were-
why we were in Florida.
Well, you
we
guys
left.
won the belts 5 times down there.
We
if I'm
left.
not
We left
mistaken.
Minneapolis,
Yeah.
Right.
where we broke in, wrestled the AWA,
Right.
then went to Memphis, then back to Minneapolis, then down to Florida, and then never really left there.
And
We
then
was living,
South
but
Atlantic.
then we was South Atlantic and started Dory Funk
George
Center
Scott and that,
tag
yeah.
team tournament in Japan the first time, and then out of South Atlantic, Gene Anderson took us for the first Clash of Champions. I think it was in Asheville, North Carolina. We drove down with them and had our first match ever at WCW.
Against
that was I think
Terry Taylor and Jackie Fulton,
late 80s maybe.
Bobby's
80,
brother.
maybe
know?
88,
Now-
89. I don't
So
know.
you became friends with Hogan, and were you friends with Mike Graham also?
Mike Graham, and Steve
Mike
Kern,
and
but
best friends.
Steve
With-
Kern first.
Yeah.
Down in Tennessee, we became good friends with Steve.
Skinner?
Yeah.
Yeah, Skinner, and he's a
I had to
great
throw that
guy,
in.
and he said,
Well-
if you's ever, want to come work, he had us down for a show, and he said to us, if you ever want to come down here and work the territory, if you ever leave AWA or not, and we happened to get fired again from
Well-
AWA, and we just came down and showed up and said, we're here to wrestle, and Steve goes, so we lived in the North 6th in Albany, right off downtown Tampa there where the sportatorium was, and we lived there for like a couple of weeks or maybe a month.
But Steve Kern and Stan Lane were the fabulous ones. I
Yeah.
don't know, remember
Oh,
that
yeah.
tag?
Oh, I
But
know.
they
Yeah.
were huge.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And they're like the Rock and Roll Express was to
Yep.
the old
The-
NWA,
that's-
as
yeah.
a tag team.
Did Vince even realize what he had with Steve Kern? Because the Skinner thing was like, what are you
Steve and
doing,
Stan, they were the fabulous ones in Mid-South. We went to wrestle. We were there. There was a King. Jimmy was gone. A lot of the guys, Honky and all them, went to WWF.
Right.
But there was still the Jeff Jarrett, Jerry, King Lawler was booking. We had all the old timers there with us. A lot of the guys, the Manny Fernandez, that Jackie Fargo was still around.
But when we first finally started wrestling, they never put two young guys together ever, but they put us together. And, Vern Gagne, I mean, that's where we really learned. And then Brad Riggins called Kurt and said, I think I got two guys that you're going to like. Then Kurt saw how we were and how we acted and took us in under his wing. And then we're getting taught by guys like Snuka, Colonel De Beers, Buddy Rose, guys that really know how to work.
Yeah, those are-
And that's where we learned before we even went to the smaller territories. We were good at getting the beat-up guys, doing the beat-up scene, but you learned all the time, and they would always tell you things. And so we were there on 2 different occasions. And we were there the second occasion with Wahoo and Ray Stevens. What a great worker Ray Stevens was in Wahoo. He broke my nose
So
two different times.
Steve came back to Tennessee while we were there for that year living in Nashville doing the territory. And we got to know Steve. He was done with the Fabs run, and he was back in Florida. And then he called us and said, I'm thinking of, starting, maybe you're thinking of 2 guys maybe to come down. Of starting up Florida Championship Wrestling again. And him and Mike Graham did it. They restarted it because after Dusty went up with the NWA and then it got bought by Turner and that whole thing, it sort of fell by the wayside. Mike just left to go out of business, and it happened with Eddie and stuff. But we said we love this. We flew in for the Eddie Graham Memorial. We went down from Minneapolis and wrestled on it. We go, I think it was, if you know, Jim Backlund and Mickey J, the referee. You know those guys? So
Yep.
they picked us up at the airport and we went, we've been in Pennsylvania, back and forth to Tennessee, but mainly living in Minneapolis for 4 years in the frozen tundra up there. Oh my God, palm trees.
Right.
The sun's out.
Bikinis.
Yeah.
I was just saying to Patera, like, why would you choose Minneapolis to live?
Well,
all places.
Ken's an old school mini guy, and the guys that are Minnesota guys, you can tell his accent. Dave Minnesota has a great thing about it. It's a great city. We had a great time there.
Well,
But it's a frozen tundra. But
Yeah.
if you're from there, it's hard to get out of there. You know what I mean?
Right.
They go with all the guys have that accent.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys stayed. You look at the whole, Hawk and Animal were there. Kurt, Rick Rude, Brady Boone,
Sure.
Barry Darsow,
Hot
T. Joe
man.
Khan,
Yeah.
Warlord, that
Absolutely.
whole crew, and then Jimmy Younger, who we became best friends with. That's who owned the
Road
gym,
Warriors gym.
and that was Hawk and Animal's gym. We worked out there all the time, and there was a bar in it. So all the guys would meet, and the guys that were in down with WCW, guys that come off the road like Barry was.
WCW wasn't even yet. It was
It was,
Crockett.
well,
The three
in
big
no, in
ones were
'85 it was
Crockett.
WCW ready, wasn't it?
No, it was Crockett.
Crockett, Vern.
It was Crockett and Vern and Vince.
But the guys who would come into town that were on the road that all lived
And
in
world
Minneapolis
class.
would work out, and we'd all drink together. So we got to know a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Sure.
All those guys, but they all stay living in Minnesota.
Sure.
It is a great town. It is a great place to be.
Sure.
But
You know what I mean?
But after somebody would leave WWF at the time, a lot of them would go right to Vern. Vern would pick them up. So
Yeah.
there was always big stars coming through. Nick Bockwinkel, nobody talks about
Well,
him, but what a hell of a worker he was.
When we were
But Kurt took us under his wing, and being with Kurt, and he was a great worker. But he was in there in the early '80s, and Fuji took him under his wing. So he got us into the ribbing shit. We got blamed for a lot of stuff Kurt did, but we were always with him. So, and the Rockers got blamed too,
But
Marty and Sean.
once we got to a level where Brad started taking us to the matches out of the camp after we were on those mats for all that time and everything, and brutally tortured, we started going to the matches. Then we started having matches, but we had to drive the ring truck, referee, or do wrestle first match to every town. And I look back at it, and I've listened to the Sheik's story, and I never knew that here's Sheik, bodyguard to the Shah, and an Olympic champion from Iran, and Vern has him refereeing and driving the ring truck. And then I just saw something from a while back, because I was on YouTube, but it was Larry the Axe, Kurt's dad, telling me, when Vern, I came in the Vern Gagne, but I refereed and drove the ring truck. I'm like, what? He did that too? I thought that was pretty awesome. So that was the old school, pay your dues, start from the bottom kid type thing. You know what I'm saying?
But it did
But
help.
Steve, we went down to Florida, and then we were wrestling Florida Championship Wrestling. Our buddy needed help in a restaurant. We started doing that, and who really got us hooked up with Hulkster the first time was Greg the Hammer.
Okay.
We got to know Greg and his wife Julie, and they were always on the road, so we got to know him really good. And then they said, Julie, I think, told Hawk, "Hey, you guys got to go over to see these guys at this restaurant, these crazy nasty boys or something." That's how. Then Hawk brought the whole family in, and when we were closed, we ate and met, all of us,
Just out of curiosity, public perception coming as from a fan, it was pretty obvious that Knobs and Hogan became very close on screen and everything, and in general like that. Were you also as close with Hogan during this time?
See, we had different deals when we went home.
Okay.
I had 2 young kids with my wife, and I laid low when I went home.
Okay.
Where Knobs and Tone, and now Knobs married Knobs and Greg the Hammer's wives were sisters.
Okay.
So they never had kids. Were both single, so they get home and they go. Boom, with Hawk, and then at the same time was going. Knobs started partying with Hawk and Brutus. Bushwhacker Beach was big, and they didn't have kids either. Hawk lived over there. Brutus was always there, and Bushwhacker Luke lived right in the beach, and that was the go-to party spot. But when I came home, I laid low with the kids and wife. So Knobs with Hawk, the Bushwhacker, they all was calling stuff, and once in a while we go Christmas parties and all that stuff.
I was going to ask,
but I was really good friends with Terry.
Did you feel the pull? I mean, I know you're at home with your family. Priorities are priorities, but did you feel the pull, like, hey, man, we're having a great time here with Hulk?
There was those times when we'd go over, like we'd meet up with the boats or something, or or at the beach bars, or there's different times. But Knobs, once him and Knobs got together, they were together every day.
Man.
You know what I mean?
Every day together, worked out with them, was in the best shape of my life, and every day there was something, and my wife and me never had no kids, so we go over, hang out, have a good time, and you know, and he's just a good guy, man.
Did you
really
help
gets
him? Did you
a
help
lot
him
of
through?
flack from a lot of people, but nobody
You
knows.
gotta realize who all lived in that area.
Yeah.
When we were Florida Championship Wrestling, then went WCW, then the WWE. That's with them guys, right? But in that area at the time was Hulkster. I was tight with Randy.
Right.
He's after he got divorced from Liz. He
down
was my
by
neighbor.
him.
He lived on
Treasure Island, you know?
he lived on Treasure Island with me. So we went out, did all kind of stuff together. We were neighbors, with a family or whatever. He was dating a girl at the time. We were always around. But Macho, Hawk lived there. Davey Boy and Anvil moved into town.
Wow.
The Bushwhackers lived in the town.
Oh,
Greg
boy.
the Hammer lived there. Brutus and Hawk. Everybody
Hawk got
was there.
to come down because back in the day, we were on the road 300 days a year. So when you get off the road, you wanted to go somewhere where it's going to be nice, and usually Florida's nice. I mean, during the summer, yes,
But
you have the
we had-
humidities, but
We had family events though too, like Harry Smith, Davy Boy in Georgia, the Davy Boy's kids, and Jim the Anvil and Ellie, the Natty and her two sisters, when they were this big at my house, you know, when the kids were little, was when
Mike
we'd have birthday parties, did a lot of stuff together with the people that were down there that had kids
Guys,
like
it's
that.
not it's not easy to ask this, but I'm going to try. My partner and I, we grew up during the time of Hulk Hogan, Hulkamania.
Yeah.
Your guys' era too. I mean, all that whole time period, we love Hulk Hogan. Okay.
Yeah.
When this racist thing came out and the tapes and all this other stuff, how I was personally heartbroken because here's my hero getting absolutely slaughtered for these tapes coming out and stuff. How did you guys feel when people were throwing Hogan under the bus?
One of the thing about the times changing, you know, because you know the guy's not a racist. But everyone, if you're loaded or telling a story or joking around, you say the N-word or something like that. I mean, if you're in a spotlight because of the tensions and stuff that are out there, like a TV station you're working for, if you guys would all of a sudden your sponsors drop you, and that because they're racial bullshit, and it is wrong. You know what I mean? But I like it when we joke around and stuff. But I like the rappers and the songs. They can There's different ways to say it. That word is almost like a Donnie Brasco movie. You forget about it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It has it's a word that can mean different. If if a black guy's talking to a black guy, you're talking to your black buddy. What's up? You know, you see, it's like a hugging thing, right? So it's a word that it means. But
Rodman tried to stick up for him. He was like, he's not a racist.
Oh, he's
and
not
no
a
one
racist
cared that
at all.
Rodman
No.
said it.
No,
Nobody cared.
But I mean, but the bad thing about it is there is bad racism in our country, which is fucked up.
Right.
And I mean, if next to the Native Americans, who got fucked over the worst than the black people of America.
Right.
They were just hanging out and fucking doing their thing in their own country, and you get kidnapped, and you're forced to be into slavery.
Right.
You think they wanted that?
No.
So what the fuck? You know, we're the ones that forced them to come over here.
Right.
So now and since then they've been getting fucked over. So that's the situation. But if certain in the public light now, it's because it's such a hot thing because there are idiot fucking racist fucking redneck morons that when they say that word, that means that word in a bad way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's me and Knobs joking around with Virgil or the Godfather, you son of a bitch, we're laughing around about it, you know what I mean? It's
Did
a
you guys
different
reach out
thing,
to
you know.
Hogan during this? Did you guys give him a call, like when this was happening to Hulk Hogan?
We knew
always, would tell him, bro, it'll pass. You're not no racist. You're the nicest guy in the world. You do so many things for charities, and you help everybody out.
Was he deeply?
But was there really people that thought that he was like didn't like black people?
Of course, there's people out there who think that.
No, it was a bad look. He had a bad moment.
Of course,
Well, it wasn't even supposed to be. I never liked that guy, Bubba the Love Sponge.
I was about to say, Bubba set him up,
and
right?
I told him that, and I didn't like when
she
Bubba
tried
the
to
Love
warn him.
Sponge used to come in, to the locker room with Hulk. He'd act like he was part of the group and just walk in the, you don't just walk in the locker room. Everybody's paid their dues that's sitting in there. We're a fraternity of brothers. You are a DJ trying to be a Howard Stern, and now where are you? You're nowhere because you screwed over a lot of people and you
Right.
did what you did. I mean,
You
that's
broke
just
people-
crazy.
you broke people's
And
trust.
he hit Hulk at a bad time. Hulk was going through a divorce and everything, so that just wasn't right. And then the however it got out there, that was a personal thing there. And Bubba the Love Sponge, to me, no good. And finally, Hulk finally said you were right, because I always knew there was something about
Did you guys
this guy.
Did you guys see Dave Chappelle do on SNL? Mm-hmm. Wasn't that funny as shit?
That was funny as hell,
He's
man.
smart. They're smart motherfucker. Man.
Chappelle is one of the greatest comedians of all time.
Where does that shit come from?
The
Oh my
Chappelle
God.
Show, when that first
But
came
he
out,
said he was using the N word when it's funny, almost like Richard Pryor,
Yeah,
Eddie
right.
Murphy. You know what I mean? That's
but I mean,
fucking hilarious.
he had humor with the
Oh,
Chinese,
yeah.
the whites, the Italians, everybody.
How about the thing he did? He did with Uncle Ben, and because of the thing they threw out Aunt Jemima, like they're taking the Native American names off the teams, that type of thing, because it's like it all builds up to that same thing.
How about
you know?
the black-white, blind white supremacist? The guy was blind, but he was black, and he thought he was white, and he was a white supremacist. It's pretty good.
That's hilarious.
But it is.
But
You know,
the throw,
for that-
he made a joke. It was so funny about throwing Aunt Jemima
Yeah.
and Uncle Ben off the boxes, because it represented, I guess, like she would be Aunt Jemima would be like a lady that's a slave lady or something,
Yeah.
or
It's a
compared
nanny
to
or
it.
cook or something.
Yeah, like that. But
I think at some points we have to learn.
but wasn't the real person mad about it or something? You're taking Aunt Jemima
anyway,
off.
There's
the
so
pancake.
much crap going on now.
But-
And I understand, like you said, people have right to be angry, but it's
About
like,
everything
What
and
really-
anything.
What really sucks is it brings to light, and now you really think about it, which is good for this country.
Yeah, but-
because it's happened. Go back to the 1960s with Martin Luther King, Robert F. Kennedy got shot, and all this stuff, and then when Elvis had his comeback. 3 or 4 hours, I watched that documentary before he was supposed to go on. They're watching the little Elvis is nervous, is his comeback, and it comes across the news. They're watching a little TV in there. Robert Kennedy got shot, and in like 4 minutes, he said, "Give me my guitar," and he came up with that "If I Can Dream," and the words that he's saying now, back in 1968, resonated what's going on today, and that's been how long ago? And it's like,
but
when is things going to change? And it has to change. It does.
To every action, there's an answer. I think some motherfuckers fanning the flames. There's a shit disturber. Somebody's trying to stir up some type of race bullshit war. You know what I mean? With these crazy motherfuckers.
There's a lot of stuff.
And there's a shit stirring going on.
I agree
Somebody's
with that.
fanning the fucking flames.
There's a lot of
You know
stuff.
what I mean? And that's a fact.
If you didn't know better, you'd swear that the media wants us all to hate each other. If you didn't know
Something,
better.
yeah. Like,
Yeah.
what the fuck, right?
Yep.
Man,
no.
you gotta cooler heads gotta.
Let them
right?
let's stir a race war. Let them
Where
kill
it's
each other or
When
something.
9/11 happened, it only lasted for about a year and a half, but everybody was together. Everybody was
Felt like
saying
2
hello
weeks,
to
to be
each
honest,
other.
but-
Everybody was
Yeah.
saying, and it
Right.
changed.
'Cause
And then
everybody
all
was
of a sudden,
America.
It only took like a year and a half
Right.
to we're back in that same old stupid run again, and everybody's being like that. And
Hard to argue.
yeah, it sucks, but I'm
Hard to
glad
argue.
we need a change. You
Well,
know what I
About
mean?
unplugging
And
the
Black
internet.
Lives
Think about
Matter,
it.
dude.
You-
I'm all aboard because I got a lot of black friends. He has a lot of black
Yeah,
friends.
but you think about this stirring the shit thing. Going into these southern towns, right? And here's a thing that's been up since the Civil War. Why should that guy be? They're right about it, but ripping the fucking statues down in the these rednecks, you tell me that isn't pissing people, those
Absolutely.
fuckers off?
Absolutely.
That's our what's his name? General Lee. You can't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If they're still living the Civil War, the fuck out. You know, and now you rip it down. That's fanning the fucking flames.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then they're just shooting black kids on the fucking street like it's a target practice.
Right.
I just seen a thing where the cop, there's two kids in the car, they wouldn't pull over. He's yelling, "Stop, stop." I'm like, shoot the fucking tires. he unloaded the clip in the windshield and killed the two fucking kids. I'm like, can't you shoot a tire out and
Yeah,
handcuff them?
It's got to
You know what I
change,
mean?
man. It's
You
just
can't-
got
you know,
to
why is
change.
everybody, they're just shooting people at will.
Right.
Yeah.
And that, then you got to just, everything's a shit stirring. Like, probably, I don't remember it that good, but if you go back to 68 or 9, I was just 7, 8 years old then, so you don't realize that kind of
And
shit's
we
going on.
and we grew
but it
up
was like
up
that,
north.
close to that.
and
It's
it-
coming now, like it was then, like in full
but
circle.
when
Don't
we
you
grew
think
up,
so?
You guys are from the north. We're from the north. My wife is from Nashville. But what a difference from the people in the north, and because people in the north, when we were in the north, we never had any of that. We were. It wasn't like that for us. You know what I mean? It just wasn't. We took everybody as everybody's
agree.
equal.
I agree, especially if you're in
Everybody-
athletics,
we're-
right?
you know,
It's
I
like-
don't know why it was like that,
Well,
but down south,
the Indians got ripped off. We stole the land and put them on reservations. The black people got drugged from another country, were made slaves. But after slavery ended, our great-grandparents and grandparents, everybody that came into Ellis Island was used as a slave in some way. You had to work, you owed your soul to the company store type thing.
That's
you know?
right.
The coal miners and the steel workers all got fucked and had to pay their dues to come up, but not that bad. You know what I mean? You were getting paid, but ended up at the end of the week owing the boss money. How does was that not being a slave in a way?
Right.
You know what I mean? So there's up in the Northeast up here, all them generations. For our family, the Polish, Slovaks, Irish, Germans, everybody,
I don't even like
Italians,
talk-
all came in Ellis Island, and that's when all the high quality. It makes New York City, the neighborhoods, you know what I mean?
I don't
of
like
living
I don't
together.
like talking about it because I grew up always loving everybody, love your fellow man, and no matter who, what color, what race, whatever, and everybody's together. We're all trying to do the same thing and try. The one goal is to do whatever job you're at, do it the best you can, and make money. So I was never ever like that in my entire life. So I would take everybody the same. Hey, can I take a break? Quick,
We're gonna take a quick commercial break, and then we'll get back to the Nasty Boys.
We shall return.
Hey, give me.
The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite 4-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah. Jeff Quest, graphics design, custom vinyl lettering, and all your art and video needs. 516-317-8204. That's for Jeff Quest, graphic design.
In the mood for a freshly roasted cup of coffee? www.offtherailscoffeeroasters.com. Jimmy, I gotta take a dump.
What?
No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP.
You want to star in your own success? Call QuickCast. www.quickcast.com. 866-7-CAST-NOW. That's 866-7-CAST-NOW. QuickCast.
Start your own success.
Jimmy, I just got the best hookup on tickets.
Fill me in.
I went to www.seatslinks.com and ordered the best tickets with the best prices.
Call 718-676-0504. SeatsLink, the complete ticket experience.
Tell them Charles sent you. You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence, Collision Specialists, 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544. And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
Jimmy, I gotta take a dump.
What?
No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP. The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah. The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking.
What just happened?
Welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, which is now called
Monte?
Anderson and the Pharaoh. Seen every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York, and we are back
Mike?
with one half of the Nasty Boys. That's right. That's right.
What?
That's right. Mike's not here.
Mike is gone.
Mike's not in the hat.
Nopsy
Mike
is
is
gone.
not in the hat. The reinforcer has taken center stage. And you know what? We just want to hear something, all right? Listen, Jerry, you know you're one of my best friends. You've eaten at my house. What? You were there with the table that broke. We went through many things, including...
I heard the table story today. I didn't know the storm destroyed it.
You don't remember the storm? No, the storm didn't destroy it. Somebody threw a rock through it.
Last time I saw the table, brother, the metal maniac was sitting at it.
Metal Maniac was holding court. And
it was your birthday.
My 50th birthday. Remember that?
Yeah.
We had a huge-ass 50th birthday party.
Yeah, that was, what, 16 years ago, right?
Man.
Oh, man.
Rough.
So, you know what? I have to ask this. You guys seem to get heat over what happened with Ken Shamrock.
You mean heat?
Heat.
Well, I don't know. I mean, people get mad about it?
Well, like who? And here comes Knobs. Knobs is back in the scene.
Knobs is back.
Go get a seat, Knobs.
He's already. I didn't know you.
We're
You
already
don't know I
rocking
took
and rolling.
over the stage. So let me ask you a question. Who grabbed Shamrock's friend's tits?
What?
That's all I want to know. Which one of you grabbed the Shamrock's friend's tits?
Actually says that.
Shamrock claims that Zags almost killed him, and that Knobs grabbed his friend's tits.
No.
That's an old...
Old story.
Yeah.
Pass.
It was
Sick
a
of talking about it.
It was
Jeez,
just a bad...
1989.
It was a bad experience, and it ended up bad, and we're all... I think we're all past it, but they got...
I'm not sure Ken is.
Our nice friends in our business keep, our buddies stir the shit. They
Yeah.
stir it up.
Oh yeah, I
Let's
love
watch-
to do it.
Let's
You know
watch
what?
Shamrock
Well,
beat Sags on the head.
Well, you know
with
what?
a bat.
I'm going to change the
All
subject.
young, get 'em all
all
fired
young
up.
And we were all drinking, so everybody's drunk. So this weirder stuff happens when you're blitzed, especially when you're young. You're talking 89.
Yeah, but what about when Brutus... What about
that?
when Brutus
That's Monty
shoved?
calling from beyond saying change the subject.
Oh,
What about?
okay.
Hey, what about?
All right, Mike.
What about when Brutus shoved Drew around?
Oh,
that?
did
Yeah.
that really happen?
Remember you were crying.
I think that was Missy shoved me around.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, change the subject. I remember in Queens, New York, approximately 4 or 5 years ago, there was an event at Citi Field called Legends of Wrestling that I happened to be a part of, and I just remember sitting in the locker room, and Bill Goldberg is giving a speech, and he says, "Guys, can you just imagine? Can you imagine this? This is a surreal moment. Knobs is running the event."
Yeah, Ric Flair said that too, but
And you did a bang-up job, man.
yeah, well, back in the day, me and Jimmy started the XWF with Greg the Hammer, and that was after they got rid of WCW, so there was not a group out there, and we only had the guys for 60-day contract, and we were trying to sell the tape and get it edited, and all the guys Vince got rid of, he started picking back off again. That's why I figured, when Jeff started his league, after us in the same place, Vince never went after him at once, but we had everybody. We had, our announcers were Tony Schiavone and Jerry the King Lawler. We had Bobby the Brain Heenan, the Road Warriors, Snook. I mean, everybody. Everybody that, when this was in...
Was this the Goldberg versus Steiner?
No.
no,
This is pre
I
that.
was thinking of that.
This is pre that.
Okay.
This was right after Vince bought WCW. There was no
Okay.
other company.
Gotcha.
And I came up with this idea, and we got it back, and we shot at Universal or Disney. I think it was Universal Studios.
Okay.
And we at the time, Vince was getting rid of all the older guys, Mr. Perfect, everybody, and like out of a job. And then Hulk called me up and said, "Hey, can I wrestle?" And we put him against Mr. Perfect. Bobby the Brain was Kurt's manager, and that job right there, and the fans were still behind him, and he still had the Hulkamania. And that next year, we shot it in November, WrestleMania 18, he wrestled The Rock, and Hulkamania went running wild again, back to the red and yellow, and and what a great match he had with The Rock. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
yeah, so I did that, and then I came up with this Legends of Wrestling, and that was to do it for Major League Baseball, NHL. We did it. We did almost every Major League sport.
Yep,
Where we take
yep.
a bunch of legends, come there early, sign, tell stories, then sign autographs during the baseball game to help some of the baseball teams out when they weren't doing so good. The Rays started it in 2007, and I was their 10th man. Coming on the board to cheer everybody up. And then it went to football and everything like that. And then the one guy that was my student, Frank Santini, he said, "Hey, you should start get everything trademarked and
Yeah, but
everything
then
like
Drew
that."
wrestled on that card, and that was it for the company.
But we sold out a
I never
45
seen
seat
such a
arena
match.
in
My God.
Detroit 2 years in a row.
Oh, there he is over there.
On
That's
18th
that is him.
And,
Didn't he wrestle Marco?
2018, 2019, and then
Did
this year
you
it was
wrestle
canceled,
Marco?
but
Oh,
then it started spreading
Or the
out.
Hammer.
to
You
other
wrestled
cities.
the Hammer?
Corinthians
I
wanted
wrestled.
us in
Hammer
there.
managed me
You
on
know?
that show.
Hammer,
So it
that's a
worked pretty
good deal.
and I'm still having it. But
I like
ever
that
since
combination.
This COVID,
Put her in a court. We got two different conversations going on.
Oh.
Andrew, rule number one. Go on. Nubs.
ever since
Well, when he took over, brother, he takes over.
ever since the
It's his show
the
now.
COVID, it knocked everything down. There's there's no fans that even know sporting events. So why would they need people to fill the buildings? But we did the Pittsburgh Pirates, 37,000.
Nice.
It was me, him, Kurt Angle, Booker T, Tito Santana, Scotty Steiner. Then Scotty, they had the Progi race, and Scotty popped out and clotheslined the one guy. That made Major League Baseball ESPN. And then the one we did down for the Florida Marlins, Goldberg was throwing out the first pitch. So he says, "Hey, I want to spear somebody." So I took the guy that was my partner now, Frank Santini, and he knew how to wrestle. But the Colorado Rockies wouldn't give him a jersey, so he wore a purple jersey, and he found a Colorado Rockies hat. So after Bill threw the pitch, he went out like making fun of him, and walked out between the pitcher's mound and the catcher's, the home plate, and Bill speared him and got a big pop, and that hit ESPN and all over. So it really helped the company out. You know what I mean? So
And you had 2 great years in a row with Detroit's Legends of Wrestling.
yeah, yes, we
Sold out
it
houses in the
both
hockey arena.
times. And we had one. We had Flair both times, but we had Sting, Animal, Ted
Rikishi.
DiBiase. I mean, everybody you can think of. And then the next year we switched around with all other kind of legends, and we had it was just the Detroit's people are always emailing us to our Legends of Wrestling, the website and the Facebook and that stuff. When are you coming back to Detroit?
What about that, guys?
What about
how about the live event stuff that the Corona crap did?
Well,
that's what I
That's
said.
crazy.
That's
you know
put
what I
a
mean?
stranglehold on
I
everything.
mean, look at it ain't just not right watching the sports without the fan reaction.
No,
there,
it doesn't feel right at all.
It
Guys,
doesn't
while I
feel
still
right.
got you here, I wanted to ask you 2 quick things, very
Okay.
important to me. What do you consider the greatest moment of your career? Is it WrestleMania 7 when you defeated the Hart Foundation at WrestleMania?
Most definitely.
Does it get any better than that?
No.
And
Most
what's your
definitely.
opinion, while I have you here, and while it may be common knowledge, I would just like to hear it from myself. What is your opinion on the man who basically gave you the biggest platform to perform off in your career, Vince McMahon? Where do you sit with Vince McMahon today?
We sit good. I mean, he's a businessman, and now since he took it public, he's a billionaire, and it's like anybody working for the boss. The boss is always going to be the boss. So you take the good with the bad, but he was always good with us, and Shane's used to drive with us. He roomed with us for 3 months, and the last time he was in a room with us, he was close to home. I don't know if it was Hartford, Connecticut, and he called his dad and said, "Okay, Dad, I'm going to stay with the Nasty Boys tonight." And all of a sudden, you hear this, "Yeah, okay, yeah, Dad, okay, all right, okay, I'll see you soon." And he hung up the phone, and he said, "Dad won't let me stay with you guys no more." I said, "Why? What did we do?"
What did we do?
But we were, teaching him because Vince made Shane do every aspect of the business. He swept, put up the ring, refereed. I mean, he did every aspect of learning the business, and on the business side too. Very good guy, one of our best friends, and we know Stephanie since she's been real small, and Triple H used to drive us with Lord Regal when we were in WCW. And when he was leaving up to WWE or
that reminds me of something.
He was going up to WWF or WWE. I don't know what it was called at the time. Me and Zach both said, "Hey, we're going to call Shawn for you because Shawn Michaels is a good friend of ours. He roomed with us. He was our roommate on a couple different occasions growing up in the business." And we said, "Go look for Shawn," and he did. And then before you know it, the Click was born. So
cool. I wanted to. I can't find something. You guys are good at finding it. When we won the belts in L.A. at that time with the Hart Foundation, greatest thing you just mentioned to him first. But after we won it because it had such heat. We did an interview with Marla Maples, which was Donald Trump's wife at the time, and Vince McMahon and Donald Trump are standing in front of us. And Vince goes, "Now nobody get all you're celebrating stuff, but nobody touch." Marla and stuff like that.
No champagne on Marla.
And that meant, to us, rip Marla apart. But I loved, Piper came in on it. I think the Mountie and Dino, we had champagne, and Marla got kissed, and Marla Maples got the champagne on her, it was spritzed all around. And I remember Vince, but I can't find that, but especially now with Trump becoming the president and all the shit
That was probably
that's
pulled.
going on. You know what I mean?
But
We did that. I mean, it was like Stone Cold did the thing. You see that a lot.
Right.
But I wonder. I can't find it anywhere. It's got to be. It was after the
stars. Regis, Alex Trebek was
Sure,
on there. Marla
sure.
Maples.
Sure.
Willie Nelson sang
God Bless
America the
America,
Beautiful.
Speaking of singing, do you guys remember who wrote your theme song by any chance?
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Jimmy
Hart.
Baby.
Is that
Jimmy
right?
Hart, J.J. McGuire, and Jimmy
Jimmy
Hart.
Hart was our first manager.
We need to get
JJ.
somebody on the phone, but the phone is locked up over here.
Oh, well, that could
Hey,
be the
we need
do
to
model.
you
handle
guys?
it.
You guys know Jimmy's past, right? You're big.
Jimmy was part of the Gentries.
Yeah, Jimmy told us that's what drew me and Knobs to Sunset Strip. he told us about being in 1966 with the Yardbirds and the Doors and all the nonsense on the Sunset Strip. Can you imagine at that time?
No.
Jimmy was there.
I'd like to.
So Jimmy's always been into music and everything.
And that McGuire
He
is
was in the
Jimmy's
middle of all of
partner.
that.
They used to write songs for the WWE.
Guys, on the phone right now is
Does he live
J.J.
here?
McGuire.
Yeah, tell him I said hello. He was Jimmy's partner.
He says, "What's going on up there?"
How you doing, man? It's cold up here. Ready to go back down to Florida?
Now, here's that loud and clear.
Yeah.
I tell you, the Nasty Boys, I'm going to tell you what Jimmy Hart says. Jimmy Hart says one of the greatest times of his life of traveling with the Nasty Boys, and that picture of them in front of the Eiffel Tower in the long jackets is one of the greatest promo pictures ever taken in wrestling, period.
I forgot about that. Yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah,
That is a good
Jimmy was our
shot.
best manager ever. He was our first manager that we ever had, and he took care of us up in the WWE or WWF at the time, and he had a stable of guys all the time. But Jimmy's the man. He still is. He's still a good friend of mine, and we know J.J. McGuire because they wrote a lot of tunes back in the day
Yep.
for Vince.
Hey, we
and they owned them.
we got to
you know.
get a picture of that for the fans.
They-
that
they-
Eiffel Tower one.
They even did
That's a good
Vince
shot.
McMahon.
He
They
did it.
did,
The guy did it panoramic, looking up at the Eiffel Tower.
yeah.
The
Now,
me
you
out
also-
of Jimmy.
You also did Demolition's music, the Superfly music,
And they did
Road Warriors.
Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels, too,
Hey,
right?
he really got over.
Ask-
Just a boy toy.
Ask him if he helped.
WWF, WWE, and WCW.
He did.
But I'll tell you,
Did he ask him if he?
Dogs and Sags are, their characters are one of the greatest. Their gimmick is they are the gimmick. They didn't need a gimmick because what they are is the gimmick. There was nothing like them.
No, you can say that again.
Would agree. Yeah.
You can say that again.
Well,
Good or
thank
bad, but hey, ask him if he was on. I think Jimmy wrote the music that with the Simon Cowell, that WrestleMania one where it's all on there. But it was a platinum seller. Did he produce that with Simon Cowell?
Yeah, we went over,
'Cause-
Hulk and Jimmy and myself went over to Simon's home mansion studio, and we met him, and Hulk did some overdubs on Leader of the Gang, a remake
See?
of the Gary Glitter song.
And the first time is he still talking? I can't hear him over
It
there.
was unbelievable, really, and who knew? I mean, Simon Cowell was a big, famous producer at that time as well, but, yeah, we did some stuff over there when we were in England promoting, the Wrestling Boot Band.
Well,
and also
I didn't know
SummerSlam
about-
in 92. Yeah.
I didn't know that story until I saw A&E, the lifetime of Simon Cowell, and what was the show, American Idol. The money he made on that, huge. But he goes, and he was telling it was the lifetime story. He's telling a story, going, yeah, well, I got my break in the business. I ran into it was Jimmy Hart or Hulk at the something, and then they made a meeting with me with Vince McMahon. I said, I'd like to do a WrestleMania album. And they go, okay, so Jimmy and these guys wrote the music, and we sang the songs, and all of us were on that album cover. And he goes, yeah, and who would believe that thing went, triple platinum overseas and stuff. I'm like, and then I was thinking to myself, hey, I sang on that. Where's my triple platinum royalty?
Nasty House was the first one, and then the second one was Nasty Sensation, and then we did Judy the Beauty. Oh, she's looking so right.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Jake's ex-wife, Judy the Beauty?
Wow.
Well, it's good talk. It's good talking to you, JJ.
Does he live here?
He lives in Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, he's in Tennessee.
All right, Jimmy, we got JJ. We got to let you go, buddy. We're gonna close up the show.
Hey, good hearing from you,
Good
bro.
talking to you,
Good
my
hearing
friend.
from you, JJ.
Bye-bye.
All right.
That's funny.
J.J. McGuire,
JJ McGuire, ladies
Yeah.
and gentlemen.
composer of many
He wrote
great
all that.
songs.
Yep.
Him and Jimmy Hart were in cahoots. They wrote all that music, all that stuff.
Now, me and the Nasty Boys go back a ways, too, right? We go back. Knobs and I been
Yeah.
friends for a long time.
I met
Yep.
you first, and I brought Sags up, but that's when Sags wasn't doing the stuff yet. But
Yep.
I met you through my brother-in-law, Greg the
Went
Hammer.
through Greg
Were
and
you
yep.
guys at a show, mutual show, where you were competing? Or?
No, we
Greg-
actually went up. Greg canceled that on something. Knobs came in, and
Yeah.
me and Knobs and friends
Greg
ever
canceled?
since. Greg
I
canceled?
can't
Never.
imagine that. What are you talking about?
Well, the first time, one of the first times I remember meeting Drew was what that first WrestleMania in New Orleans. What was that?
Oh
6
my
years
God,
ago,
that was a long
or
time
7
ago.
years ago?
WrestleMania 30.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what was the signing thing everybody does?
WrestleCon.
WrestleCon, right. So me and Oz, I think Doug goes, hey, you guys want my table? So we went up and did it. Duggan he couldn't make because he was doing, I think, something Hall of Fame. Maybe that's when Hacksaw got in there. And who's writing back to us? We're signing, sitting here. Is Greg in? He goes, hey, this is my buddy Drew. And I saw Drew around. He goes, hey, how you doing? Next thing here, me and Knobs are signing here. Crack! I go, what the? And we turn around, and they got a gimmick going. Him and Greg, it's like talk about carnies, right? Yeah. He's charging people the marks to chop them.
And I'm chopping.
I'm like, dude, I said, you're going to.
People were
You're gonna break.
How much a chop?
$50.
I don't know, but
$50 a chop.
Then he would chop them so hard. I go, you're gonna break one of these skinny guys' ribs.
We did.
I said, you're gonna be dead here
and
or
they
something.
were doing the figure 4
because
too.
and you hear like a thump, boom, and then now time goes by. Hey man, Drew's gonna get in trouble chopping these people. He's gonna crack somebody's ribs, and there's gonna be the cops will be or something. So next thing I hear no, ow, ooh, and I turn around. I thought somebody was getting the chop again. Now. It's hammers on the ground and got the guy in the figure 4 in their charge for it. I said, this is like a carnival duo.
Bushwhacker Luke was taking pictures with his cell phone saying, nobody's going to believe this, mate.
And when you go into figure 4, it's a painful son of a bitch and hold you're in. You can snap any knees.
I am no longer a mark because I'm not paying anybody.
Greg was doing it.
What are you talking about
when you're
here?
in pro wrestling, dude, just like baseball has theirs, football has theirs.
Sure.
It's a fraternity of brothers that we really look after and care for each other, and especially back coming through the 80s and 90s. And them guys we're still good friends with everybody. The Steiners, Bret Hart, Hacksaw. You just name it. I mean, and Hulk, Bill Goldberg. I mean, I still talk to everybody. And Booker T. I was just with The Godfather. We're doing a reality show, and it might be coming out next year called Tales from the Road, where we're going to go and talk to some of the legends about, I said this, dark side of the ring, always downing the business, and this. Hey, we had great times in the business. Right. We have no complaints at all. I'm beat up after.
Do you guys ever feel that way about, we were talking about the media, that nobody wants to hear good news.
Right. No.
There's all the new. You turn the news on. It's like you want to see the murders. How many?
And we've been conditioned.
And you're like you want to get shocked and see the bad news.
And people wonder why wrestling's WWE's ratings are down. It's because the media has the baby face with CNN and the heels with Fox, and they're doing wrestling better than wrestling is.
Yeah.
Pretty much. You're right.
Yeah.
So. Well, guys, we got to wrap it up. I want to thank the Nasty Boys very much for coming down. The great Andrew Anderson.
My brother.
It's great to have Drew.
Mike Monty, get in here. Mike, get in here.
Who has pulled a Dr. Seuss? Where is he? Where is he? If I summon him, there it is. There he is.
It's almost time to put.
That's how Drew looks without his wig.
Hey, you know what the funniest thing I ever said? Remember, you know my assistant Jason, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What Jason says to Greg one time, he goes, "Hey, Hammer." He goes, "Is it true you keep your wig on a styrofoam head by the side of the bed and your teeth in a jar?"
Oh my God!
Greg looked at him. And goes, "Fuck you, you cross-eyed freak."
Gotta get ready, put on the mask. I'm telling everybody out there, wear your mask, wash your hands. This virus is
I got one right here.
No bullshit. And just be safe out there, everybody, man.
And everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. And from the Nasty Boys, what kind of Thanksgiving is going to be?
It's going to be a nasty, happy Thanksgiving.
That's right, baby.
Hey, we love you guys. Without you guys, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. With you guys, the fans is what made us. And we like going to the Comic-Cons and talking and signing autographs for you guys. Makes us feel good. We couldn't do it this year because of coronavirus, so let's all stick together. In 2021, we'll be back to.
And Knobs, where can they get a mask? Where can they get a Nasty Boy mask?
Breakneckgear.com. They have a bunch of them. They have the Nasty Boys. They have Bret Hart. They have Hacksaw, and they have Animal. So they have all kind of stuff: shirts, socks, masks, everything. So check it out, breakneckgear.com. But
and wrestling fans, I'll see you December 12th in Greenville, Texas for SWE Fury.
All right, folks, you've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh, and we'll see you next Thursday.
Drew's going to Texas.
Later.
Take care.